Actually, Charlie, as always, thanks for coming on and chatting, mate. We appreciate it.
Not a problem, mate. Not a problem.
Coming off another big win on the Bellator promotion, you've had a wee bit of time now to reflect and let things sink in. I actually sat and rewatched the fight again. And we got one round from you and Kiefer, but Jesus, it was an entertaining round. I actually enjoyed it more watching it back a second time. What's your memories of the fight?
You know what? It's a weird one because I've had to watch it back a few times. So my memories were slightly different to watching it back. Do you know what I mean? I thought things happened slightly different, but that's probably down to the fact that he hits bloody hard. So my brain was a little bit rattled. But I'm happy with it. I feel like, I don't know, everyone was saying how my boxing looked great and stuff like that. I was a little bit disappointed with it. I think I started quite well, and then I was leaning too much. I lost my head movement, and I got caught with that left hook a couple of times when I don't think I should have. Do you know what I mean? But it all come good in the end.
Yeah, because there was a point in the fight, and I still, even watching it back again, I couldn't exactly see what happened. Yeah, I don't know if you were coming in, and I think did he catch you with something? I wasn't sure if you get caught with something and he slipped, and then it looked like he went into the single, and then that's when he seemed to hit you with the elbows.
Yeah,
they looked like they must have hurt a bit.
You know what? It wasn't so much that. I think if you watch it back, there's actually a point before I go down, and he hits me with a left hook, and I think it's the one that cut me a little bit, but it completely blurred my vision. I couldn't see anything out my right eye. And I back up to the cage, and I thought, this is it. He's going to come and throw down. I'm going to have to just bite down and throw back. And he backed off, and give me a chance to actually get my sight back. And then I went forwards, and he clipped me around the back of the head with that left hook again. And luckily I was clear. My head was clear. I felt okay, but my foot just missed the canvas and I fell over. So it took my equilibrium away a little bit. And then the fight just went. I'm trying to get the takedown. I'm thinking, okay, just get hold of him, put him down. And like an idiot, I sat there scrambling rather than just standing up. And he hit me with them elbows. And then, like I say, my mind cleared completely. And I went, just stand up. And just stood up rather than trying to take him down.
Yeah.
It worked out all right.
Yeah, and then obviously the fight kind of turned you at that moment where it looks like you're a bit hurt. Then you caught Kiefer and you hurt him, and I actually thought I was like, this fight is so close to being stopped, but you know that bit when they take the clock off almost in the last 10 seconds and you can't see it. I was kind of waiting. I wasn't sure if the ref had stepped in and stopped it or what had happened. And then it's that part when you both go back to the corners that I was curious about before the right get called off, because you've put a lot in to finish him. So I'm curious to see how were you feeling in the corner before it get called off? How were your arms? Did you feel?
I was okay. I was okay because I dropped him a couple of times, and I was looking for the finish, and I could hear his corner saying that they felt like I was tiring. And the referee, every time the referee said to him, right, you need to move or defend yourself, he was doing the right thing. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't feel like the ref was going to stop it. So I actually thought, okay, take a bit of a breather, just do the damage and don't blow myself out. But then right at the end of the round where I hit him and he hits the cage and moves around and drops to the last time, I thought, this is it. The ref's going to stop it. And then I heard the 10-second go. So I kind of thought in my head, okay, the ref's not going to stop it with the last 5 seconds. Just do the damage and then get up and be prepared for another tough round or at least a tough minute when he comes out hard. So I went back to the corner. I was a bit worried. I felt like the cut was worse on my face because the corner man was a bit like, oh, sit down, I need to do your cut. And I never sit down in between rounds. So I was a bit shook. I went to sit down and my coach was like, no, you don't sit down. I was like, okay, yeah, don't sit down, deal with the cut. And then I could see Kiefer was going, great round, let's go. I was like, all right, here we go again. So it's quite exciting.
And I noticed one thing, I don't know if you've noticed this coming back, there's a point where your hand actually slips onto the cage. And I just watched the referee immediately coming out and
slapped it off. Yeah.
He slapped it off. I just, more than anything, I found that quite funny. The ref was getting a shot in as well. But ultimately, obviously, the doctor stepped in and stopped the fight. Now, I'm sure that's not how you wanted the fight to end, and you could see that when you went over. What was that feeling like when the doctor stepped in for you as a fighter?
You know what? To start with, it was a bit of a horrible feeling because you can tell that you're in a good fight. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like I went in and went, oh yeah, I was doing this, I was doing it. I knew I was in a good fight and it was going to be an exciting fight. So my adrenaline was pumping and he was looking across, going, great round, let's go again. And I was thinking, yeah. So my adrenaline was up. I was ready to go and start throwing down again. And then when I see the doctor wave it off, I was like, no, let me keep fighting. But to be fair, it was. The trouble is a lot of people see it and they thought it was the cut under his left eye that they've stopped it for, which it wasn't. His eyelid was cut open on the top, around the top of his right eye. So fighter safety, I'm glad that they stopped it and there's no lasting damage or anything like that. But listen, I done the damage, so I feel like I've got the stoppage from that. It wasn't a clash of heads. It wasn't something like freak. It was the fact that I hit him and done the damage. But maybe it takes away from a little bit. If the ref had stopped it, then it would be more of a genuine one. Who knows?
No, I don't think it, Callum. You can come in on this as well. I don't think it takes away from it because it's like anything else in fighting. You're there to inflict damage, and whether that be maybe a fight getting stopped with leg kicks, it's you that's done that damage, and ultimately you've led to the stoppage. And Callum, love to get you to jump in on that and your thoughts of that type of thing.
No, I was just saying there that I wouldn't let that take away anything at all. Like you've been in there and you've made the doctor stop the fight. So you know what I mean. It's not like you say it wasn't a clash of heads and that. You went in and fucking and you've fucking stood your ground and fucking had a brawl with him. You know what I mean? And it's just he's had the cut. And obviously, if it's on the high level, that's obviously a lot more dangerous than above or below.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
It's one of the things with cuts and fights as well that maybe sometimes some fans miss, that you could have a terrible cut on your head that looks horrendous, but a doctor won't stop it. But it can just be the smallest of cuts, and like you say, an eyelid or around that eye area or places like that. And that's the doctors obviously know the position of the cut, and ultimately, it's. I mean, they're doing their job, really, aren't they?
This is it. Yeah, this is it. I mean, I've seen a few things, and a few people say, like people in the know, and they're saying, if it starts hitting your tear duct or anything like that, then you're not fighting again. Do you know what I mean? That's your career over. So the doctor has to stop it. Do you know what I mean? And Keith will be better for that. Do you know what I mean? He's going to come back stronger from the loss and not ended his career, or potentially ended his career. Do you know what I mean? It's I'd rather see him fight again.
Yeah. One thing I did like at the end of the fight, and I always like seeing this, and it's the way you've reacted and went over to Keith, the sportsmanship that showed in that. I like seeing that, because I think it's a good reflection in the sport, and I think obviously it speaks to your character as well. Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is it. I try and listen. I've got respect for everyone who steps in there. Anyone who comes to fight and stuff like that, you've got to respect the guy. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not one to talk shit. I'm not one to try and big a fight up and stuff like that. I don't need to. And I feel like, listen, it doesn't matter whether he's my friend in there or what. I'm coming to fight, and I'm coming to make that money and get the win. And we can be friends afterwards, or you can hate me afterwards. It doesn't matter. That's not going to change my opinion. And to be fair to him, he was a genuine guy afterwards. Really nice. The whole team down there is great. Do you know what I mean? I speak to John sometimes, and the whole team down there are great. Got a lot of respect for them. So and they come to fight, don't they? So it's always exciting.
Yeah, that's it. And you were saying there, you've obviously watched the fight back a few times, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this as well, Callum. What's it like for you watching a fight back? Do you find it hard to watch yourself back? Is it almost like cringy? Like, I know sometimes I will watch podcasts back because I hate watching myself. But
that's it is a weird one. It does feel a little bit cringy sometimes watching it back. But I like to watch it back and see where I've made the mistakes and stuff like that, and not listen to the other people talking, because I mean, my coaches and stuff always tell me what I've done wrong or what they feel like and stuff like that. But I like to have a look and analyse where I feel like I've done wrong, especially after a win. Because a lot of the time after a win, there's a lot of people giving you credit and like saying how good it was and this and that. And you need to take the negatives out of it as well. Do you know what I mean? I look at that and, like I say, I felt like my head movement wasn't great. I got away from the jab a little bit too much to start with. So I like to try and take the negatives and give me something to work on for my next fight.
Is that something in the fight, actually? Because you did see me at a point in the fight, I could see you started throwing the jab out more and you started using it. Were you conscious of the fact you hadn't been using it enough?
Yeah, well, I was conscious the fact that I started, and you know what, it felt like he started slow. I was expecting to come out balls to the wall and just go for it. And I hit him a few times with the jab, and I thought, this is a bit strange. And then he winged that left hand, and he caught me with a hook. And like I say, he hits like a fucking train. And I thought, I've got to be careful here. And then ducked into another one, and then I was like, for God's sake. Because my whole plan was he likes to come and brawl. He likes to get in that brawl. And I wanted to outbox him. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to make him overthrow and stuff like that. And then I got to the point where I thought, I'm going to have to just start throwing back. Otherwise, he will overtake it and I will get stopped. So, I kind of chucked my game plan out the window and went, all right, let's just start throwing back. And that was it.
I guess you need to do that in some fights. Sometimes the game plan has to change on the fly, and that's the difference between winning and losing.
Exactly, yeah, that's it.
And Callum, I'm sure you've obviously the chance to go back and watch your fight. How is it for you going back and watching yourself fight?
That fight in particular, fucking frustrating. Very frustrating. Like, I'm my own worst critic, so when I watch, like Charlie was saying, that even fights you win and stuff, you're still looking for things you can improve on. But that last one for me, like, I honestly think I win that fight 9 times out of 10, and it was just a mixture of a few different things, like just see trying to fight a guy that literally does not want to fight you. He knows. If it goes to the deck, then I'd have him. He obviously knew within the first 30 seconds of the fight I was getting him on the feet as well. The first strike I cracked him was a side kick to the face. And right from that, I seen he was panicking. So every time he just wanted to get me against that cage, hold me there. And that's like, see, after maybe, and to be fair, he was strong. He was strong because he was a bit shorter in height. He was like an inch or two shorter in height. And he was quite stocky. So he was good at holding me against the cage. And I just think I think the referee should have been splitting up. Like, it's like he wasn't even trying to get the takedown. I said to the referee a couple of times, I'm like, look, there's nothing going on here. And see, because there's no crowd as well, there's no boos. So see if there's a crowd there, you would hear boos. The referee would be forced to split it up. But I literally 15 minutes of fighting, and I think there was maybe 5 minutes of striking, 9 minutes of holding me against the cage, and a minute of on the ground. And that was it. So it's literally just so frustrating. Really
is this where the frustration comes? When, first of all, the big thing for me was the scorecards. It's when I heard that 30-27, I was trying to work out, right, how could a judge have scored it that way? And I could not understand. And I think maybe really a lot of times fights should be scored on who's doing the damage. And obviously you weren't really taking any damage. And even when you were being held against the cage, you were the one trying to throw knees and elbows. And then that same referee in another fight, guys, I think, was it on the ground? The guy was still on the ground, stood them up almost instantly. So he's done it when the guy's on the ground.
Doesn't make sense. I don't. The same, like you say, the judges' scorecards. One scored at 29-28 me, 29-28 him, and then one had it 30-27. Like, how do you even get that? The first round, literally, I fucking battered him on the feet. He held me against the cage for 2 minutes, and then the last minute and a half of that round, same again. I was just out striking him on the feet.
Does it? I don't know if it does make it harder to take, but when a judge is scoring at 30-27, when the fight was never a 30-27, not a chance in hell. No. Obviously, I'm a wee bit biased, and I felt you won the fight. I felt the 29-28 going for you was the correct decision. But when you hear that 30-27, does that just make the loss even? Does it change how you feel about the loss at all?
To be honest, that doesn't bother. It's like that's just the fact of the one getting beat like proper. I've struggled with it the past week. I keep going over it in my head, like 10 days that is now. Like last Thursday I fought. And I just keep because it was such a just such a just a close fight, a fight that I know that I should be winning. I should be winning that fight. I know that I should be winning that fight, and it's like, and that's what's so frustrating about it. You know, like no discredit to him. Like he's obviously he's a good fighter. You know what I mean? He is a good fighter. He's 10-4 or whatever, and he's and we're fighting at a high level. But I just honestly, I think that's a fight that I should be winning. Definitely, that's what makes it hard for me.
Yeah, and Charlie, obviously, your last fight against, obviously before Kiefer, you fought a close fight with Tim Wilde that many people felt like you won, but that fight didn't go your way. Yeah. Is that a frustrating? Just as a fighter, is that sometimes a worrying thing that you don't always rely the judges are scoring the fights as they should be scored?
You know what? This is one of my biggest bugbears, because the way I got explained why I lost to Wilde and stuff was this new scoring criteria where unless you're doing damage, you're not scoring. Whether you've got the takedown or not, if you're not doing the damage and stuff, you're not scoring. So the fact that your opponent held you against the cage means he shouldn't have been scoring anything anyway. Do you know what I mean? If you're trying to finish the fight, then you're getting the points. So that's the most frustrating thing is the judges aren't all doing the same thing. Do you know what I mean? You can be in one fight where they're standing it up after 2 seconds on the floor, or then you've got one guy who's just holding him on the floor and one judge will give him winning it, where the other judges are giving it to someone else. That's the frustrating thing. We need to get more consistency, I think.
Yeah.
For you as a fighter, let's just put you in a judge's shoes. Obviously, there's criteria there, but ultimately, does it come down to do you feel it comes down to the fighter that's obviously doing the most damage during the fight? How do you feel the judges should be looking at fights?
The hardest thing I find is the scoring it on like this 10-9 must system and stuff like that. You can have a guy who's clearly won the first round or whatever it is, and then you have two really tight rounds where it's close, and you lose the fight. Where I think if you look at the whole fight, you normally see who's won that fight. Do you know what I mean? You can go over a whole fight. Yep, that guy won this fight. But again, it's consistency, and it's human error and stuff like that. And to be fair, it's hard to judge a fight sometimes, depending on where you're sitting and what you're seeing and things like that. Because I mean, I've had my corner say to me before about something, and oh yeah, when this happened, I'm like, that didn't happen, and you see it from a different angle, and it's not as bad as you think, or it looks worse than it is and stuff like that. And again, it's frustrating, but I can't see a different way around it. You know what I mean? Like if I had the answer to it, then it would be great, but I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what you do to make whether you bring in more judges or you bring in some video replay or what.
It almost feels like it would be, obviously smaller promotions aren't going to be able to do this, but it almost feels like it would be better if the judges weren't cage side, if they were somewhere separate from the cage, watching purely in a monitor where they can't be influenced by crowd noise, stuff like that. Almost feels like that is it, because I do sometimes when you're at fights watching them cage side, you do miss a lot, and when you're at home you seem to get a better view. So maybe that would be a one step to take. Yeah,
and if you ever watch a fight with no commentary, it makes a complete difference to if you're watching it with the commentary. You know what I mean? There's always a slight bias or what they've seen and the way they say it, and you go, oh no, he's done that, and it's nothing like that at all. So
yeah. And even for myself, sometimes when I'm watching fights, if it's 3 a.m, I don't trust myself. I always kind of need to go back and watch the fights when I've had some sleep and maybe not had a couple of beers as well. Obviously, the judges aren't having beers. Well, I'm sure some of them are some of the regional shows. So the other thing I want to speak to you about as well, Charlie, obviously you've had a wee chat quickly on Instagram with Patricky. That would, I'm sure that would be a great fight for you if Patricky's obviously got a fight coming up. But
he's
that one you're kind of thinking, is that one you're thinking if he comes through okay, that would be a nice one to get.
That would be perfect for me. That would be great. I mean, listen, he's been at the top of the pile pretty much for a long time, and he's been at Bellator since back in the day. and I think it's a great fight. You know what I mean? He comes to fight. You've got to have a respect for the guy. He's always comes to throw down. I think it'll be a really good fight. And the main thing is it will be hopefully a main card, main event, co-main event sort of thing, which will give me that little bit more publicity again. I mean, I've been fighting a long time. I've had, I think that was 29 pro fights. I've had something like that now. And it's my first time on a main card. I mean, I fought Paul Redmond in Ireland, in Dublin, in his hometown, and we were on the prelims. I fought Bungard after he'd just beaten Brazier and stuff on the main card, and we was on the prelims. I fought Tim Wilde, who had just been main event, and we was on the prelims. So it was nice to get on the main card, and that's where I want to stay. Do you know what I mean? I want to be in the biggest fights I can possibly have, and I think Pitbull's is right up there. So.
Yeah, and you've certainly paid your dues, and you're definitely not somebody that says no. It doesn't seem like you say no to any fights.
No, that's it. Yeah.
The other thing, see at the weekend there, I don't know if you just quickly did you see some of the finishes at the weekend there?
On
everywhere. We had
the catch kick and spinning back kick or whatever it was, wasn't it, on the UFC? That was just ridiculous, wasn't it?
I know, it was what a boost for that guy's career, but it was Buckley who landed that. But you imagine being his opponent, and that's never going to leave you, is it?
No. He's going to see that every single day, every time they put anything out. It's a bit like the Pettis Showtime kick that still gets shown. However many, what was that, 10 years ago almost? And this one's going to be around forever. Every time they start a UFC, this is going to be shown now, and it's
or the Barboza Terry Atom knockout.
Yes, exactly that. Yeah.
UFC highlight reel.
I've got to ask you guys, but over the next couple of weeks, he's going to be working on the Buckley kick. Then is this something to maybe see if he's coming up with any fights?
You know what? Kicking is not really my game, man. I think I had about 11 pro fights before I even threw my first kick, and then I missed it, so I didn't throw one for another few fights. But I've been taking the mick at training, saying that's what we're going to work on. I've been working on it with my 5-year-old son and getting him to hold my kick, and I still can't kick him in the head. So it's not something I'll be working on at all.
Hey, listen, it's all about the stretching. You need to speak to man Callum on here. I mean, this is a man that's triangled himself in an interview recently. That's how flexible he is.
I think we need to do some training. I could really do with it.
I was actually practicing that kick on Saturday. I was in the gym on Saturday, and one of my training partners, the rascal, actually says to me, he says, "Here, you'll be able to do that kick, wouldn't you? Go and try it." So he held my kick. I missed his face for that. He's like, "Fuck's sake, sir." I says, "I'm married. I've done that on purpose." I literally just fuck's sake.
That's one of the. I mean, it was a weekend for brutal KOs. Obviously, you mentioned Terry Brazier there. That was a hellish knee Terry caught.
Yeah, ridiculous, wasn't it? Shut him off completely.
Yeah, and it's puts Terry. I mean, you kind of wonder where that puts Terry now, because Terry's obviously he's coming off the back of a few, and I mean, you know yourself how much this game's in your head, and stuff like that. I mean, it must take its toll when you've been riding high, and then he's come into Bellator, and I think a lot of people expected him to go quickly right through the ranks, and it's just not worked out.
I think everyone was expecting him. I think he had a lot of hype coming through as the double champ, but I think it's got to be really depressing and really, really hard for him. I mean, he got out wrestled the fight before and then got knocked out and outstruck. It's a bit horrible, isn't it? I mean, it's not like you can go, well, if I can out wrestle this guy, but listen, that's the fight game. That's what happens.
Yeah,
I guess that's the thing. It's not what you do after your wins. It's how you recover and improve for the losses. And like I know, Callum, you said there was stuff straight away you were looking to get back in and work on the gym. So coming off that fight, did that sort of light a fire under you that you knew there was areas you needed to look at?
Just really. I mean, that it's really cage stuff. Like, it's not even like. See, because I'm quite tall and lanky for the weight, I don't know if you maybe get a wee bit of that. I don't know if you've ever had that problem, Charlie.
I have,
It's just, a lot of the guys I fight are slightly shorter, and when they're slightly shorter and stockier, they're powerful up against the cage, like good.
Yeah.
So just good at holding you, like that. That's all it was. Maybe slightly. I'm quite strong as well. I'm quite strong for featherweight, like, and I wouldn't say I even get out strength like on the ground or even in grappling exchanges, but just when I've got someone holding me up against the cage, I'm like good head position. I'm struggling to get that framing and stuff. But I've actually been working a couple of different things with Danny Henry over the past week or so. Like since I've been back, we've been working and just making sure that doesn't ever happen again. But it's just annoying more than anything. I think 100%, if there was a crowd there, they would have been booing. Like every time they'd have been booing, that referee would have had to split us up. At one point, I lifted my hands on my feet off the canvas, right? Both feet off and both hands out, done like the star shape thing, and looked at the ref and goes, he's not even fucking trying to take me down here. If he takes me down, then I'm going to submit him. But I'm like, he's not even trying to take me down. I was like, I said that to the ref. And the ref just looked at me and goes, keep fighting. I'm like, we're not fucking fighting.
Yeah.
Do you think that, and seeing that fight, Callum, do you think he's come into that fight and looked at you, obviously, a 10th planet black belt, and thought, right, I'm not want to get on the ground with this guy. I'll be able to do my damage on the feet. And you've obviously, you were looking really good in the feet. Your kicks were looking loose. Obviously, like you say, you were catching him, and he looked like he was really struggling at distance with you. Do you think he's at that point thought, right, I'm struggling on the feet. I don't want to go to the ground. The only thing he could do was hold you against the cage.
He actually said that in the cage to me after.
Right.
He actually says to me, he said, right to me and James, he says to the two of us, he says, I watched you fight with Cabeza, so I need to tell buddy AFC to take that one down. He said, I watched you fight with Iga Cabeza. He says, and that's where he was having his success, was just basically holding you against the cage. Like, and see that shit, like, to be honest with you, see at the end of that fight, I thought I'd lost. I knew I'd kind of lost the fight because I never knew that rule system. Like, I never knew that the rules had changed to, like, I thought holding someone against the cage, so that you can outstrike them for 2 minutes. He never landed. He landed one strike on me the full fight, and that was a body kick. The full fight landed one strike. So I didn't know that, like, if I outstrike him for 2 minutes of a round and then he holds me for 3 minutes, I thought he wins just by holding me against the cage, because that's how it used to be. And I never knew that it even really changed. You know what I mean? But then obviously James put the rules how they changed 2 years ago. It changed. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, how's that possible then? How if that is the scoring criteria, then how have I lost that? You know what I mean? But it is what it is. You've just got to pick yourself up, get better, and move on to the next one. That's it.
And you can see with the way they've changed the rules, they've changed them. It's basically encouraged more exciting.
No one wants to watch that. Nobody wants, like, everyone. No. See, like, all my friends back home and everything, everyone that kind of spoke to me when I came back, they're all bamboozled as to how I lost it, and they're all like, "You never even landed a strike. How did you possibly lose that fight?" And that, and I'm like, because they don't, like, understand, like. But I mean, I was there. I thought because I'm getting held against the cage, he's the one controlling me. But I suppose, I mean, it's like, all you need to do is land a few strikes at the start. And if he's doing that, then, I mean, to be fair, like, I don't know what the fuck. I made a mistake in the third round. It was me. I shot in after fucking lighting him up. I'm feeling so loose as well in the feet in the third round. And even if we say 100% I won the first, the second was close. It was either, it could have been a draw or I thought it was just mine. But then the third, I don't know why I shot in. I was beating him up on the feet for 2 minutes and then I shot. He managed to kind of jack me up and fucking turn me. I was like, shit, why the fuck did I do that? But you know what? It's one of these things, you can't keep beating yourself. I've been beating myself up a bit at the past fucking 10 days, so I just need to try and get out of my head now and move on.
That's it. You need to get in the gym and beat somebody else up, mate. That's what you need to do.
That's it, man. That's it.
That's what you need to do. And the other knockout I wanted to get your thoughts on, obviously, Scott Ascombe, unfortunately, was in the receiving end a pretty bad knockout. Did you happen to catch that one?
Yeah, I did. I didn't see it live or anything. I see the Twitter and Insta going crazy. I think it got overlooked because Matey Boy on the UFC then went and outshone him, didn't he? But yeah, what a crazy kick that was.
Yeah, I mean, normally that would be.
It looked like it was just kind of the toes that landed it, like the kind of the flat of the foot.
It didn't back, wasn't it? Yeah,
that's right.
I think it was one of them. I think it was one where it was just. I think it was maybe the way Scott's head position was as well, which has just made the kick worse. and it's almost like he's caught him at the end of the kick.
Well, he wasn't complaining about it. He wasn't complaining about the stoppage. He must. Was he unconscious? He was unconscious, wasn't
he? I think it was a TKO, wasn't it? Wasn't he a straight? I'm sure the Tino Kalibov step in. I thought the ref just stepped in just as he was coming up to throw some ground and pound, wasn't he? I think. I think that was it. So it was any other weekend he would steal that would be in all the media headlines, but it was like Landau's knee to Terry was amazing. Obviously Kalibov's finish to Askin was amazing, and then Buckley just steps up and goes, "Hold my beer or my foot" in this case. And a great finish. So just for both these, Charlie, when would you like to get back in there? Obviously, Patricky now is who's in your sights and who you would ideally like. When do you think if that fight happens, or as long as Patricky comes through unscathed in his fight?
I mean, he was saying he wants to fight again. He was saying he wants 2 more fights this year. I don't know whether he means that fight and then 1 more, or he wants to win this fight and then fight twice more. I mean, that would be a hell of a turnaround to get 2 more fights in. But I'm looking at the end of the year. Do you know what I mean? End of the year, beginning of next year would be even better for me. But end of the year, December would be great. Give me a chance to get back into training properly. I mean, I like to take a week or so just to relax and spend time with the family and let my body heal up after a fight anyway, because I cut quite a bit of weight and it was quite a tough camp and stuff like that. So I like to heal up. So even if I got back into the gym properly training next week or whatever it is, I'd still like to have that sort of 6 to 8 weeks to get ready for him, especially as it's him. Do you know what I mean? That's a massive fight, and I don't want to be going in there with anything on my mind and any like complacencies or anything like that. So, like I say, end of December, maybe January, whatever. Listen, whatever Bellator say, and whoever they say, it doesn't matter. I'll fight anyone. But let's hope it's tricky. Beginning of next year would be nice.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. I really hope that one pans out for you, mate. You've certainly put in the work over the years, and Callum, for you, obviously, what's the word coming out of Brave? Are you looking at getting back on that show? Obviously, I know Bellator's. You had a great performance in Bellator as well.
So basically, Gus says he'll have me back out to Brave starting next year. But to be honest, I want to get some. I'd like to get some before the end of the year. I don't want to go out on that fucking shitty loss for the end of the year. I want to get that win back. So, I'll just need to wait and see what happens. Hopefully, get something before the end of the year.
Oh, and actually, quickly, before I forget, obviously this was your first, both of these your first fight week. You're going abroad, obviously under the current pandemic. So, Charlie, for you, what was that experience like? Actually, just I'd be remiss not to ask you.
Mate, it was really weird to be honest for me. I mean, normally Bellator flying me out a couple of days or a day before sort of weigh-ins and stuff like that. So I only spend a couple of days in the hotel and I know where I'm at and I need to know, or I'm cutting weight at this day, so I do this and do that. Being out there for the whole week and being quarantined in our room for 24 hours and all that, it was a bit strange, really strange, trying to get my workouts in at the right time and not get complacent and just laying in bed and doing that. But luckily it was at a catch weight of 160, so I had that to fall back on. I didn't have to push the last couple of kilos out, so it was all right in the end. It worked out all right. I mean, Bellator looked after us great. Milan was quality, like everyone there at the hotel and stuff was great. So it was quite nice and relaxing, really, to be honest. It was a week of sleeping and stuff. I mean, I've got a 5-month-old baby and a 5-year-old son who runs riot, so it was actually quite relaxing to have a week of sleeping.
How was the COVID test? Was that nice and relaxing? I'm getting mixed reactions when I'm speaking to you guys.
that was horrendous. Absolutely. The first one was, everyone had said how bad it's terrible. And I didn't think it would be that bad. It was horrendous. It was horrible for
me. and Callum, for you as well, obviously you had a fair old trek out to Bahrain, a fight. How was that? The travel, the quarantining, and then obviously the nose penetration.
because of the COVID, obviously the flights aren't all that you're limited to flights, so I had to fly to Amsterdam, from Glasgow to Amsterdam, had an 8-hour layover in Amsterdam, then had to fly from Amsterdam to Dubai, to Abu Dhabi, and then had another 3-hour layover in Abu Dhabi, then had to fly to Bahrain. So I was like 24 hours travelling there. And it was a fucking nightmare. And then obviously as soon as I got to, before I could even leave Glasgow Airport, I had to get the COVID test. As soon as I landed in Bahrain, I had to get a COVID test at their airport. Then I was quarantined in the room for 24 hours, which I got, and then I got out for a little while. Then you had to get COVID tested again before you could go to the venue. Before, like the day before we were due to go to the venue, so they knew that everyone leaving from the hotel to the venue was negative tested. And then you had to get tested again before you had to fly home. So I was tested 5 times. And
shit.
In 8 days, I was tested 5 times. This is ridiculous, man. But it was a pain in that. Like, they just shove it right up. Relax. They're saying to me. I'm pulling the hand in. Come on, man, relax. I'm like, fucking you relax. Fucking shove up.
Well, it's interesting. I'm hearing some guys say the COVID test is no bad, but I mean, 90% of people I speak to are like, no, man, this shit is rough.
Yourself. See if you get to go like the mobile ones, right? Mm-hmm. See if you got the mobile test centre. That's what I literally went to, like, to get to before I went out. You do it yourself, and you just put it in your mouth, and you put it up your nose just as far as you can until it's uncomfortable, and then on your tonsils, and you put it back in. That's fine. But see, when they do it, they just ran it right up your nose, up, it's hitting your brain. And they try and tell you to relax. I'm like, fucking, there's no way of relaxing with that.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. Like, they done the first one I had. They done my throat, and I was almost gagging on it. And then they went up my nose, and my eyes were watering. I was coughing. I'm like, fucking hell, I think you've given me COVID just by shoving it up there. And then they go, oh no, we've got to go to the other nostril as well. I'm like, fuck, oh great. Then we had one. Then we had another one straight after weigh-ins as well. So I just weighed in and thought, oh sweet, I can start rehydrating and stuff. They're like, nah, another COVID test, please. So it was, it wasn't nice.
So it's just an additional. Another thing to worry about in fight week: weight cuts, the fight itself, and now getting a cotton bud jammed almost up into your brain.
There was a fight on my card that got pulled off because of the COVID. Right. Tested positive.
Yeah, see, you know what? That was probably my biggest worry. Sitting there, was waiting for our results to come back. So we're sitting in the hotel room. We flew out. I think it was Monday morning. We got there, got tested, and then you wait the 24 hours, and it was over 24 hours. And I'm looking at my phone every time it beeps. My corner man Reese is going, "Is that them? Is that them? Are we clear? Are we clear?" And I'm like, "Mate, could you imagine it comes back positive?" And they go, "All right, well, yeah, you've got to go home. See you later. Your fight's off." That was probably one of the most worrying and horrible parts of the whole week, sitting there waiting for your test results to come back.
Yeah, because it's not even that. It's not like they just say go home if you test positive. It's like, well, you're not fighting, but you're staying in this hotel room.
Yeah, you're going to now have to stay here for whatever it is, 7 days, 14 days.
7 days, and then I don't know how the promotions handle in terms of fighters getting paid, but I probably imagine the promotions are just going to be like, "No, sorry."
Yeah, I don't know, and hopefully I don't come across and find out, but. Yeah, until I've weighed in and I'm ready to fight, you never know whether you're getting paid or not. I mean, I've been to some organisations. I mean, the smaller shows and stuff. I've weighed in and I've had one hand wrapped and my opponent pull out or not turn up, and I haven't been paid. So I'd like to think, obviously, Bellator really look after us and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure we would have been looked after. But yeah, you don't know. You just don't know, do you?
Yeah, that's it. And it's, I mean, I suppose the only good thing is that when you're going to promotion and guys are getting pulled off, at least what they're doing is working, it's catching it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's the main thing. So I guess all this quarantine, and it's just another thing you need to sort of work around, isn't it? It's currently the world we live in. Yeah. But you might be doing it all again soon enough.
Yeah, this is it. You never know. It's, I think the hardest part for the thing was no saunas. I'm a little bit old. I'm a little bit old school, and I like to cut my last little bit of weight in a sauna because I know it gets hot enough. I can sit in there. I don't have to overdo it or anything like that. And they've got these little portable steam room sauna things and stuff like that. They're just not the same. Do you know what I mean? So it does affect some people. Some people like doing it in hot baths and all this sort of thing. Whereas I've always been a sauna guy. Do you know what I mean?
I'm exact same. I've always liked the sauna as well. I had to do hot baths.
Yeah,
and,
that was it.
And the bath would only go so hot. It wasn't even going that hot. And
exactly the same.
My coach arrived out, and he had to quarantine the room. So I was like, it was just a nightmare. My bath wasn't even that hot. I was having to do it by myself because James was locked in his room. He was quarantined. So I was having to boil pans of water and go back and forward to the bath. And see when I got down to that, the last 2 or 3 pounds, you know, when you're really struggling, you've got to keep climbing out the bath, boiling more water, put it in. Do
your own kettle,
It was fucking horrible. It was shit, like.
Yeah. I mean, James himself has told a story about cutting weight in the bath and then passing out in the toilet. It's a common thing you hear for guys just getting out of that hot bath and that going out the bath. The head goes and it's bump.
Yeah. You got to be careful, mate. I wouldn't ever want to do it on my own, not at all. Do you know what I mean? I was lucky that Reece, my cornerman Reece, had come out with me, and then Dave, my head coach, was flying out afterwards, and he turned up. So he was quarantined for the Thursday, and then got out halfway through the Friday or whatever it was, after I'd weighed in. So luckily I had one of my cornermen there to help me out, and like you say, boil kettles to pour in the bath and all that sort of thing. Trying to do that yourself would be horrible.
Yeah, I was going to say, see doing that yourself, Callum, obviously when you've got somebody else here with you, not only there to make sure nothing happens in terms of you pass out or anything like that, but just somebody there to speak to and distract yourself. Did it just make it that much that bit harder? I
had a couple of mates on FaceTime and stuff like that just to keep kind of speaking to people. But I don't cut a crazy amount of weight anyway. I still done like 4 kilos, 4 or 5 kilos, which was it's bad enough. You know what I mean? It's never fun. But yeah, when it came down to that final kilo and a half, that's when it is getting hard. You know what I mean? You've got to wrap yourself up under the towels and pour all the water. It was a pain in the ass. That last kilo was a nightmare.
Yeah, but, I mean, good job that did it. Imagine Luke Shanks trying to do his own weight cut himself. I've seen the videos of Luke. Jesus Christ! But anyway, lads, I won't keep you much longer. I really appreciate you coming on and chatting to us tonight, and obviously look forward to seeing you both back in there and putting more fights on for guys like me to watch and enjoy. But thanks again for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, mate. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Cheers,
thanks.